Hey guys, this is Taryn from the Girls Inc. studio in Las Vegas, and I am back with another machine tutorial. Today I'm going to be talking about the Valhalla from Axys. The Valhalla, it's a rotary tattoo machine for PMU, and it's a machine that I picked up about a year ago. And I did 2 or 3 procedures with it, just starting to get comfortable with it, seeing if it was a machine that I liked and, that I wanted to carry on my store. Then COVID hit. And so there was a long period of time before I was able to get back on the Valhalla and put it to use with my clients. So I've done several procedures with the Valhalla now, and I fell in love with it. I think it's a fantastic machine, and it quickly became a machine that I reach for a lot. So the Valhalla by Axys. Let's take a closer look and learn more about this machine. Okay, so the Valhalla by Axys. Let's just go down some of its features. It is a fully American made and manufactured machine made right here in America. It has a Swiss-made Maxim motor, and Maxim motors are definitely considered one of the best and highest quality motors for tattoo machines. It weighs 4.0 ounces, so 4 ounces. So it's fairly light. For me, it's a light machine. For others, they might find it a little heavy. It just depends on how sensitive you are to weight. And I do know that a lot of PMU artists are very sensitive to the weight and the size of a machine, where some, like myself, are not. So to give a better comparison, if you're out machine shopping, I wanted to be able to really show you the size difference between a couple of other machines, so you had a good comparison. So the Valhalla is 4 ounces, and the Zion, another really popular machine in PMU, is 4.7 ounces. So you feel it, but not a lot. It's not a big, massive difference. I don't know as if that would be a make it or break it, a deal for you. You do feel it, but not a significant amount, okay? Now, as far as width of the machine, you can see that the Valhalla is a little bit thinner, right? It is a little bit thinner, and it's a little bit longer. So it's a little bit thinner, and it's a little bit longer. The Zion is most thick in this area, and maybe this is where the weight of the Zion comes from, where the Valhalla is a little bit thinner and doesn't have a wide area of its machine. Now, where you grip the machine and tend to hold it as we're doing our procedures, the Valhalla is a little bit thinner of a grip, and the Zion is a little bit wider, but again, not by a lot. So I think grip size is pretty comparable, even though that's just slightly bigger. Weight, a little bit lighter, 0.7 ounces more. You do feel it, but not significantly. Now, let's compare it to the Rook. The Rook, you can see, again, the Valhalla is a longer machine than the Rook. And the Rook is a lot thinner than the Valhalla. Definitely a lot thinner, and it's a lot lighter. 4 ounces, 2.5 ounces. So for those that are very weight sensitive and prefer a light, thin machine, you may prefer the Rook. And then for those of you that are like me and adapt to different weights and sizes of machines, you know, it's not going to bother you at all. You're going to go back and forth between the 2 or between the 3 easily. So, oh, and grip, up here at the grip is a little bit thinner on the Rook, a little bit thinner, but not a lot. But overall, it's a thinner, lighter machine, okay? So let's put these off to the side. And no lubrication or maintenance for this machine at all. So you don't have to lube it, and there's nothing to do to maintain it or make it run any better. Just don't drop it. And most accidents happen because you are not setting up your machine over your work tray. You're setting it up over the floor. So I highly recommend you don't do that. Every single time you're setting up your machine, set it up over your work tray. So if you do happen to drop it, it drops maybe 3 or 4 inches, lands on your work tray, and it's going to be just fine. Rather than it dropping all the way to the floor, 3 feet, 2 feet, 3 feet, you know, and you damage your machine. And if you do drop your machine, any machine on the floor, there's a good chance you break it where it doesn't work at all, or you damage it to the point where it just doesn't run smoothly anymore. And machines are expensive, so always set up your machine over your work tray. This machine, the Valhalla, has lots of power and precision. And that's what I noticed right away when I got it into my hand. The power and the precision of this machine, and I look for that in the machine. That's really important to me. I'm a versatile artist. I do eyebrows, eyeliner, lips, areolas, and I like a machine where I just feel its power and it's got excellent precision. So that right away I felt with the Valhalla, and that is very important to me as an artist. It takes an RCA cord, but it will also run with a battery pack, nice and easy. All these super cool new wireless digital battery packs coming out, it will run the Valhalla. It will also run lots of other rotaries. What else? It takes all standard cartridge needles. So pick your favorite cartridge needle and it will run with the Valhalla. It runs with any standard power supply box and any standard foot pedal. And I think that's really important. I think it's important for me. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but for me, it's important to use rotaries that take all the standard equipment, standard needles, standard cords, standard power boxes, standard foot pedals. That way, as you start collecting machines, and most of you will, all the different machines you start buying and using are interchangeable and run with all the cartridges, you know, your favorite cartridges, your power boxes, your foot pedals, and cords. And of course, cords, there's RCA cord, there's the micro cord. The Rook has a really unique magnetic cord, but cords are fairly inexpensive, but power boxes are expensive. Foot pedals can be expensive, especially a high quality one. And needles are starting to go up in price, and we go through them very quickly. So the Valhalla is one of those PM rotary machines that run with all the standard equipment, and that will make your life easier, and it will be a lot less expensive for you as you start adding to your machine collection. So one thing really unique about the Valhalla that fascinated me and why I bought it in the first place was the ability to change the stroke setting on the fly. I have never seen a machine that could do that, right? So with the Valhalla, you can actually change this dial, like I'm doing here, and go through all the stroke settings. there are 5 different stroke settings. And it's really easy, just a little click of a button. Typically, to get a different stroke setting, you had to buy a completely different machine. For instance, if you use the Phantom, if you want different stroke settings, you know, in the Phantom, you have to buy different machines with the stroke setting that you want. With other machines, you have to change out a stroke disc, and that can be inconvenient. But with this Valhalla, it's just as quick and as easy and as convenient as turning this dial. And I really kind of like that. I think it's super cool. So let's take a closer look at these stroke settings. Okay, so right here you can see that that is on stroke setting 2.5. And you click it, and now you're on 2.9. Click it again, you can see the little arrow right there. Click it again, and you're on the 3rd stroke setting, which is 3.4. Click it again, whoops, and you're on stroke setting 3.8. Click it one more time, and you're on that last stroke setting of 4.2, right? And then you can go back. Right there, 3.8, 3.4, 2.9, and back to the shortest stroke setting, 2.5. So, for those of you that don't understand stroke setting, let's talk about that for a second. Okay, so stroke setting, it is really important when it comes to our machines. And a lot of people don't understand stroke setting. So I hope this helps you understand stroke setting a whole lot better. So when it comes to stroke settings, there's short strokes, long strokes, and everything in between. So let me explain to you what a short stroke is. Let me tell you what a stroke is, period. The stroke is the time it takes for the needle to make one complete in and out cycle. So the time it takes for the needle to leave the machine, puncture the skin, go into the skin, leave the skin, and go back into the needle tip. One complete cycle, in and out cycle. That's a stroke, okay? So when we're talking stroke settings, a short stroke, like a 2.5, which is on the Valhalla, that means this is the skin, this is your needle. The needle hits the skin and it pullbacks to the needle tip only this far. It's short. It's a short distance between hitting the skin and going back to the tip, right? Very short. That's a short stroke. A long stroke setting is the needle hits the skin and it pulls all the way back, really retracts really far, back up into the needle tip. That's a long stroke, right? Long stroke. Short stroke. Okay? What does that mean necessarily for the artist? Well, the shorter the stroke, the softer the hit. The longer the stroke, the more force, the harder the hit. Okay, so let me explain that in baseball terms. So a batter is up to bat and he wants to hit it out of the park and get a home run. So when he pulls back his bat, he's going to pull back as far as he can so he hits the ball with all his force, right? So pulls all the way back and hits that ball with all its force. It goes out of the park. Ah, the fans are going crazy. So that's comparable to a long stroke when it comes to machines. Short stroke, you know, the batter maybe wants to bunt the ball or, you know, just get to first base and get the third guy home. So they might not pull all the way back. You know, they're strategic when they get up to that bat, that plate to hit the ball. So maybe they only pull back this far and they hit, you know, like that. There's not nearly as much force when you pull all the way back, right? So if a batter pulls only this far back, they are not going to hit that ball out of the park. They're going to hit it maybe to second, or, you know, it's going to stay in field because there's just not a lot of force. And that is comparable to the short stroke, okay? So the short stroke has a softer hit, and the longer stroke has a harder hit. So when it comes to tattooing and working on the face, we don't want a hard hit. Facial skin's sensitive, right? It's different than body skin. It's thinner, it's more sensitive, and we just don't need that hard hit. So we don't need that really long stroke. So a 2.5 for me has always been the perfect stroke setting. 2.5, 3.0, those are the two stroke settings I love. I've used a 3.5 and that felt pretty good in my hand. I liked it, but I love the 2.5. I just love that 2.5, and I do like a 3.0. But so when you're shopping machines, if you're out there shopping and it's talking about stroke setting, remember, you want to stay with a shorter stroke. Anything over a 3.5 is too long of a stroke for the face. We don't need to get that long. Some body tattooers are using 4.8 stroke settings. So it's pulling way back, you know, but they're using that to like hammer in, you know, black tribal or to get these really bright, colorful sticker tattoos. And of course, they're on the body, you know, parts of the body. But on the face, we want to stay with a shorter stroke setting. Softer hit, less trauma, softer finish, you know, with the healed result, much better. One more little thing I'd like to share with you about stroke setting is when it comes to the short stroke, because the needle is pulling back a short distance from the skin, it doesn't have that far to travel, right, to hit the skin and pull back. So because of that, it tends to be a faster running machine. Tends to be. So when I'm using a machine with a shorter stroke setting, I sometimes have to turn my power supply down a little bit to slow the machine down a little bit to compensate for that shorter stroke setting, okay? When you're using a longer stroke setting, like a 3.0 or 3.5, which is still definitely okay for the face, because it has farther to travel, it tends to run a little bit slower than a short stroked machine. So for the longer stroke setting, I tend to have to turn my power box up just a little bit to reach the speed that I feel comfortable with, right? To feel that speed in my hand that I feel comfortable. I definitely run my machine on numbers. You know, I'm a number girl, but I also compare that number with how it feels in my hand. I'm looking for a certain feeling. And once you've been doing PMU long enough or body tattooing long enough, you too, you know what I mean? You're looking for that certain feel. Okay, so that is my spiel on stroke setting. So I hope that helps you understand stroke setting a lot better going forward. Okay, so let's get back to the Valhalla. So now you understand what stroke setting is. So let's take a little closer look at the stroke settings. So again, it has a 2.5, and as I just explained, that is a fabulous stroke setting. I love that stroke setting. It's a really nice soft hit. It's the softest hit you're going to get from the Valhalla, that 2.5 stroke setting. If you click it up to 2.9, that's still considered a pretty soft hit. And so between the 2.5 and 2.9, just play with the two settings and see if one feels a little bit better to you than the other. And then it jumps up to the third setting, which is a 3.4, and that is considered a nice medium hit. A nice medium hit. Still fine for what we do as PMU artists. And then on the fourth setting, it gets up to 3.8. That's a little long for me. I don't prefer that. Maybe some of you do, but I just do not. That's a little bit long for me. I do prefer the shorter stroke settings. And then you can click it one final time, and that will bring you up to a 4.2 stroke setting, which is the hardest hit this machine will deliver. And in my opinion, that is way too long of a stroke setting for my liking. I just think that's too long, too hard of a hit, and I would recommend staying with the shorter stroke settings like the 2.5, 2.9, or 3.4. And again, just play with those three and see which one happens to feel better in your hand. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug this in. Let's plug in. Okay, let's plug in the RCA cord. Let's put in a needle. Oh, let's put in the other needle a little bit. Okay, so I just want to point out here, I've got the Muso Toku power box, a brand new power box we just put on the store, and I'm not going to get into all the features of this now. I am doing a separate tutorial on this box later today, but I do want to point out that you are seeing the numbers blink and flutter, and that is only because of the cameras. The cameras cause the LED lighting to appear this way on camera, but they do not blink like this in person. They are solid, okay? So don't worry about that. Don't look at it because it is annoying. And if this box did flutter like that, then I would not like this box. So again, the numbers do not flutter in person. They are solid. Okay, so let's turn this machine on. Let's see, where's my foot pedal? All right, right here. Okay, so I'm gonna pull it up to my mic. There you go, just so you can hear it. Maybe a little bit better. All right, so I think it's got medium noise, medium vibration. And as an artist, I love that. I personally like a machine with a nice medium vibration. I don't like a lot of vibration, but I don't like very little either. I like to feel my machine. And the noise level is medium. It's not obnoxious or anything like that, but it's not too quiet either. I prefer a machine that has a little noise and a little vibration. For me, the noise and the vibration of a machine allows the machine to talk to me. That's the machine's way of talking to me and kind of letting me know depth-wise where I am in the skin. When I use a machine that's really super quiet and very little vibration, I just feel that machine is like, not on speaking terms with me. And I just don't really dig it. Again, I like a machine that has a little bit of noise and a little bit of vibration, but I don't think this has a lot of noise or a lot of vibration. And we're gonna wrap it. Once you wrap it with some Scentsy wrap, that does dull the vibration a little bit. Okay, so feels really good in the hand. I love it. So it's great for circular movements. It's great for, of course, pointillism, whip shading, because of its, nice, linear, slender build. It's great for, like I said, whip shading. Great for circular, pointillism, shoveling, pendulum, all the movements. It's a great little machine. I've been using the heck out of it. The way you adjust your machine, your needle is the way you adjust it on most machines, just turning this grip This is a brand new machine, so it's a little, there we go, new and stiff. But by turning it this way, you can see the gap widens and my machine retracts. My needle is in. You can't see it. There's no needle sticking out. Start turning this the other way, and you can see that gap starts to close, and your needle starts to show. And that's about how I like to run my needle. That's about how far I like to run it out. Right about 3 to 4 millimeters. I like my needle out. It allows me really good precision. I really get to see clearly where I'm at. I think it just gives me better permission. And of course, I'm not sinking the whole needle into the skin, just the very tips. Now, when you pull this back out, and you turn it this way, of course, the needle starts to pull in and retract, and you'll see this little O-ring right there, right? That's normal. That just stays right in there. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see it in there, that little O-ring. That's normal. You'll start to see it the bigger this gap gets. And of course, once you start turning it the other way and bringing your needle out a little bit further, that gap closes and you tend not to really see the O-ring, or it sticks out a little bit on the side, but that is perfectly normal. I should mention that this machine comes with a 1-year warranty. I should mention that this machine comes with a 1-year manufacturing warranty, and the people over at Axys have been wonderful to deal with. So let's just, why don't we just barrier wrap it? Let me show you how I wrap it. Okay, so it's important to wrap our machines, of course. So I carry these clip cord sleeves on our store, and I'm very particular about barrier wrap. Some people are not. You know, they just use really cheap barrier wrap that, you know, you do this and it snaps and it breaks. I look, buy, use, and stock really thick barrier wrap that's rugged and thick because, you know, these are our tools and we want to really protect them. So slip your cord, your RCA cord into and just like that. Pull your machine. There you go. Then plug your machine back in, and then you take your cord, pull it all the way over. Hang on a minute, let's straighten out the cord. There you go. And I like to bring my clip cord over about that much, and then fold it, and then stick your needle right in there and click it. Okay? And you can see I already set my needle to where I like it. So what I would suggest before you do that, put your needle in, turn left and right to get your needle how you like it, run it, make sure your needle is sticking out as much as you like it. Then take this, turn it over, poke it in, click and turn, and always make sure that's in tight and test it, right? So what that does, you can see, there's a clear, I mean, there's just a solid barrier. Nothing is getting into your machine or going to contaminate your machine. And of course, we only use needles that have a really good membrane that prevent backflow, but this leaves no gap at all. So it just seals tight the edge of your machine. Then we take some Sensi wrap or grip tape, whatever you want to call it. I'm not the most smooth at putting on this stuff. So hopefully this tutorial, it goes on smooth enough, but just kind of wrap it like that. Well, that didn't go so bad. Some people like a lot of Sensi wrap. I don't need a lot, but I do like it on nice and tight. And then what I do is I kind of mold it. I'll sit and I'll just hold it like that and just mold it and make sure it's just nice and molded to the machine, and that's going to stay. And then that right there is a perfectly wrapped machine, right? Kind of sucks you can't tell it's a Valhalla anymore, but it is just perfectly wrapped. And these cords are really, these clip cord covers are very long, really, really long. So some are short. This one happens to be a longer one. It's thick. They're on the Girls Inc. store. So always make sure your clip cord, your machine is wrapped. And then of course, we always barrier wrap our power box, and you're gonna love how we protect this super cool box in my next tutorial. So there you go, a perfectly wrapped machine, no chance of cross-contamination, and the grip, the Sensi wrap just makes it a little grippy, a little spongy. It helps absorb some of that vibration. And of course, if you want to wrap more, you can. But this is about how I like to do it. And of course, we have super cool grip tape on the store as well, and really good needles. We sell the Da Vinci needles on the store, and the new needles from Rook on the store as well. So, all right, let's just kind of take everything off. And take a look at that Valhalla again. So the Valhalla Axys rotary machine, 4 ounces, and 5 different stroke settings, and it's priced at $590. So I think that is a really fair price for a machine as well built as this, and you'll feel how well built it is, you know, once you get it in your hand. I think $590 is a really fair price for the quality, for the extra features of the stroke settings, and for the way it performs. So that concludes this tutorial on the Valhalla machine. I'm going to put the links below to where you can purchase. And as always, if you have any questions at all about the Valhalla or anything, just let me know, all right? So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. And be on the lookout for my new tutorial on the Moso Toko power box. I'm still practicing how to pronounce that. And the Flux, the all-in-one wireless flux machine. Those tutorials are coming soon. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you soon.